Kambing Kurma or lamb kurma, as we will commonly be calling during this show, is a very delicious recipe from Indonesia. Indonesia is a very rich culture. It has a mixture of different cuisines, different religions, and different types of people. That's what makes that culture so unique and amazing. Without going too much into their culture and religion, let's talk about their spices. They grow every spice which we can think of in today's time. But for this recipe, this is what I'm going to use. For Indonesian lamb kurma, these are the following ingredients you're going to need. 1 kilogram of lean lamb or mutton or goat, salt to taste, 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil or ghee. For dry spice powder, 1 teaspoon cumin seeds, 1 teaspoon fennel seeds, 1 tablespoon coriander seeds, 4 or 5 green cardamom pods, 4 or 5 cloves, 10-12 numbers of black peppercorns. And for the sauce, you need 6 to 8 shallots finely chopped, 4 to 6 garlic cloves chopped, 1 tablespoon finely chopped ginger, 2 teaspoon finely chopped lemongrass, 2 star anise, 2-inch cinnamon stick, 2 numbers of bay leaves, 400 gram potatoes peeled and cut into 1-inch dices, about 300 ml of coconut milk, and salt to taste. Right, the spices I'm going to need, I'm going to toast them one after the another because that's the best way to toast the spices. If you put all the spices together, once in a while I do it too when I'm in a hurry, but the best way to do is toast the spices one after the other because each and every spice has got a different texture, different size, and also different kind of essential oil. You don't want to lose out immediately. So let's start with cumin first, one of my favorite spices. So about a teaspoon of cumin, and I will toast it very lightly. Now the idea of toasting is, there are two actually. One is to kind of harden the seed so that when you go to the blender or the grinder, it breaks easily. The other reason is to accentuate or to activate the essential oil in the spice. That's very important. Now this is done. It's fairly quick. And fennel. Another teaspoon of that. That won't take long as well. Lightly toast that. Don't need to toast too much. That goes in too. Few cloves and about 10 black pepper, which I can just add roughly. And the moment they start toasting, you can feel the whiff straight onto your nostrils. It's really good, beautiful. And if you don't do the toasting, your korma will be very weak. It won't be fun. Coriander seeds. Now coriander seeds are going to be about a tablespoon or equivalent to at least 3 teaspoons, I would say. And that needs to be toasted slightly more than any other spice, purely because coriander holds more moisture. You can see it starts popping up, getting toasted lightly, the color and the smell. And that's done. The last one, a few cardamom pods. Very essential spice in Indian cooking and also in Far Eastern cooking. When it comes to Asian food, I don't see that we are very different from each other when it comes to the use of spices. But as the influences go on according to the geographical and the agriculture produce, we become so different to each other. And Indonesia is one of the prime examples of that. Right, now I'm going to go to that blender and make it a powder. Right. So all I have to do is, oh, beautiful. Really rich aroma coming out of the combination of the spices. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons. I'll keep some just to finish my curry later. Okay. Let's mix it. A little bit of oil, and a pinch of salt will also help. Now, when we are cooking in the professional kitchens, obviously spices do help to break down the meat, no doubt about it, but we also use different types of tenderizers. And one of the tenderizers which is my favorite is raw papaya, though I'm not going to use in this, but I'm just sharing the information. But other ingredients which could help as in breaking down or as an agent which can break down the muscle of the meat is kiwi fruit, believe it or not, and pineapple. Of course, lime and lemon, any type of acid that works. Now I'll leave this aside for it to rest. Ideal time is about an hour, but I'm not sure whether we'll have that much time. But we'll see. We'll try to build the flavors around it. Now, take another pan, bring it to maximum heat. Let's start with the vegetable oil first. In this region, you will find that people use a lot of peanut oil or coconut oil, but I'm sticking with vegetable oil because it's a neutral oil and it suits everybody. So I've used about 4 tablespoons. And the whole spices that I'm going to use are star anise, cinnamon, and bay leaf. We'll start with that, saute that first, and then add either shallots or onions. So you will find in Far Eastern cookery, we use a lot of shallots, but these are slightly different shallots. The ones we get here in the Europe are slightly bigger and they are not that pungent. If you can ever get hold of smaller shallots, that's much better. So when you're reading my recipes, when I say 3 shallots, I am actually referring to European shallots. So if you can get hold of Far Eastern shallots, then use about 10 or 12 because they're very tiny. They're like cocktail onions. Okay, here we go. 1 stick of cinnamon, about 1.5 of star anise, and about 1 dried bay leaf. That's done. And I got about 2 shallots here. Saute this. Now remember, this is korma, so cooking of onion needs to be controlled, or shallots need to be controlled. You cannot color the onions because you want white color gravy. That's very important. So we just saute it lightly. A pinch of salt to go in now, and a pinch later. And look at that, it's lightly colored already. So I don't want more than that. And I will just add ginger, garlic, and lemongrass. You could use ginger garlic paste, but if you have chopped one, much better. I'm using a teaspoon of each. I'm a little biased towards ginger, so my apologies, I've used a little bit more. Lemongrass is a lovely, lovely spice. It's a kind of stalk, a very hardy stalk. So you need to chop it really fine or blend it to a fine, fine paste to break the fibers of lemongrass. Otherwise, it keeps coming into your mouth while you're eating. It's not a pleasant thing. But though, the flavor is amazing. It's beautiful flavor. And you saute onion, ginger, garlic, and lemongrass till it's fragrant, or at least till the raw whiff of garlic goes away. Now this is almost there. Now I'm going to add my lamb, which didn't have much time to rest, but let's hope that it'll be really good. All I have to do is seal the lamb really well and fairly quickly. Using either sweet potato or normal potatoes in the lamb kormas or the curries is a very common thing in Far Eastern countries. Countries like Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, they all use a lot of potatoes. So we are also going to use some potatoes which I have blanched in advance, and I'm going to add it. If you like a little more color, you could actually deep fry them so you have little brown ones. But you know what, I'm on the health trail at the moment, so I'm keeping away from deep fried food. So I'm going to keep it as light as possible. Most of my recipes that you follow on this channel or on the website, I generally write for 4 people, but while I'm cooking, I always adjust to 2. So I hope you remember that. Now at this stage, when lamb is nicely sealed, it's time to add half the coconut milk with a little bit of water, Bring it to boil and let it simmer till it's perfectly cooked, and then we will finish it with rest of the coconut milk. So about 150 ml of water and about another 150 ml of coconut milk. And while this simmers, I have to add a little sugar and salt. Ideally, I would like to use palm sugar or brown sugar, but unfortunately I didn't get my hands on it before I came to the show today. So I'm using just a granulated sugar, which will do, but it's not perfect. Right, lamb does take a long time to cook, and I presume that goat will take even longer, unless you're using kid goat. So here, it took about good 35 to 40 minutes for me. Now, lamb is just ready. I'll add the potatoes, and if you were using raw potatoes, because I'm using the blanched one, then raw potatoes need to go earlier. Potatoes would also need good 25 minutes to get cooked. So this is ready. I don't need to do anything more. There is no garam masala to be added because the spices are already there. So we'll go straight into plating. Now, you will always find banana leaf in Far Eastern countries, so I have used that influence. Rice, you could use jasmine rice. And let's place the lamb. Look at the sauce, it really darkens as the lamb cooks, and all the spices just catch on. Right, so that's done. And here is my cloth, must clean it. Now, a few things which you would do is some of the chili, which you can just place it. You could also use red capsicum if you just wanted to color it, but chili works really well. A few things which Indonesian would like to put with their vegetarian or non-vegetarian food is always a salad, or at least the perception of it, with few slices of cucumber, some coriander, and butterflied lime or lemon, or just a nice chunky lime or lemon would also do. I prefer lime than lemon. And that's it. We are done here. Now, before I dig in or start eating, I should recap. First, we have to toast the spices, and the toasting was done with following spices: cumin, coriander, green cardamom, fennel, black pepper, and cloves. I toasted them one after the other and then made them into a fine powder in a blender. Once the powdered spices are added into the lamb with the oil and the salt, leave it aside for an hour if you have that much time. Start with a pan with 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil and add whole spices, which were cinnamon, star anise, and bay leaf. Saute that lightly, do not let them color completely, then add chopped shallots and saute lightly till they are light pink in color. Do not color them, and then add 1 teaspoon of garlic, 1 teaspoon of ginger, and 1.5 teaspoon of lemongrass. I sauteed all that, and then I added my lamb into it, and you have to seal the lamb. Really saute it well at a higher heat so lamb gets sealed very fast. And then add about 150 ml of water and about 150 ml of coconut milk, and let it simmer slowly for a good 45 minutes, I would say, or maybe more, till lamb actually is totally tender. And towards the end, you add boiled potato dices, and if there's any spice powder left, you can add that. Taste it before you add. Correct the seasoning with salt and sugar, and you add rest of the coconut milk. Bring to a good boil, and then it's time to serve. And I served it with jasmine steamed rice, some chili julienne, some cucumber salad, and some coriander leaves and a lime juice. And that's it. Here it is. Time to taste.